All right, let's move now to a story I mentioned earlier. Almost 4 decades after a bomb claimed the lives of 3 Cosas members and injured a 4th, the victims' families came face to face with the man they believe responsible for the deaths. 67-year-old Tlomedi Mfalapitsa is facing 3 counts of murder relating to the bombing, in which he apparently conspired with apartheid security police to kill the Cosas members using explosives. Masego Rahlaga was in court today. She joins me now for more. Masego, thank you so much for joining us. So, you know, when there is no justice, there is no closure. These families, I would imagine, 40 years on, are still feeling very raw and unresolved about these deaths. Tell us more about the families.
Well, Sally, you can imagine it's been almost 40 years. Next February on the 15th will mark 40 years rather, since the Cosas Four were attacked by Tlomedi Mfalapitsa. It's understood that he was a family friend, Sally, who lived in Kagiso with the victims. He was friends with the victims' older brothers. And this specific man who had survived the attack, so 3 of them passed away immediately, and one of them was, very badly injured. He did pass away earlier this year due to COVID-19 complications, and he was buried last month. So this is on the brink of his family getting justice, and this is what the families were saying, that this is a man that they trusted. This is a man who, for instance, was their comrade, a man who was an Umkhonto we-Sizwe guerrilla, along with the older brothers to these victims, and they had contacted him, Sally, to try and get him to assist them to go into exile so that they could share the ideas with ANC, SACP and other leaders about what they thought could be done to fight for liberation in South Africa. And unfortunately for them, on that day, they were driven, and you would remember this guy's name, Sally, Joe Mamasela, another Askari, who was recently also, in 2011, I believe, he was sentenced for the murder of his neighbor around that year. So he was the driver. He had to pretend to go fetch them, to go fetch these 4 young men. Some of them were still at school, Sally. He had to pretend that he's a driver going to fetch them from Kagiso to take them to Krugersdorp to have a meeting with Mfalapitsa. He and apartheid and Flak Plus police had already set up these explosives at this farm, and his job was to pretend as if he's going to fetch something from the car and let the apartheid police know that he had gotten out of that farm and that he was far enough so that they could detonate the bomb. So 3 of them passed away. So you can imagine for these families. I spoke to the brother of Zandisile Musi, the one who had survived the attack and has recently passed away, and he was saying his pain is basically about this man that he knew, that he shared food with, that he shared bedrooms with when they were still in exile. But here is the brother of Zandisile Musi.
Of course I had to ask him that. He was our neighbor, and like as Africans, as neighbors, he was our brother. He was elder than me, closer to my elder brother. Even left the country together with him. My brother, may his soul rest in peace, Lungisa Musi, who passed away in exile, was a member of eNCA. He was a relative to another friend of ours, Nogisi Butuma, who also, in fact, was more closer to my brother, and I was closer to them politically than him. So I saw him as an elder brother in 1976. When I started recruiting the 2 others, he joined us. I thought that we were fighting for a cause for liberation. We went to Botswana, we went to Tanzania, me personally, I went with him in Germany to do special course on training to come and fight for liberation. We shared rooms in Germany. Least did I know that that training was meant to come one day to come in my brother, kill the brothers of young kids. We're talking of Njingo, we're talking of Bimbo, we're talking of Fanyana. So he comes back, the ANC has confidence in him, brings him, he goes to the then regime, and then he hands himself over to win trust. He experiments by our own who took him as an elder brother, pretends to recruit them only to put them in that mess.
So the sense of betrayal, I mean, we're talking the early 80s, and it was such a terrible time in our history. I know that you managed to speak to Tlumedi Mfalapitsa, the accused, which I want to hear all about. But first of all, give us a little bit of context. Did he apply for amnesty at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission? And why, if he didn't or didn't get amnesty, has it taken so long for this matter to come to court?
Well, Sally, those are the details that we'll, of course, be finding out in court. He's going on pre-trial on Friday, Sally, which was supposed to start today. And in that case, for instance, in terms of a pre-trial, he's expected to actually tell the court or the judge exactly what he is willing to admit. So right now, he's still out on warning, so he's not spending any time in prison. We do know that, for instance, the one person who did testify at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that we're sure of is Joe Mamasela, as well as the officer Katia, who was part of that Flak Plus and apartheid police force that ordered this hit. And we know that the families, some of them were awarded about 30,000 rand back in 1996 when the Truth and Reconciliation Commission happened. Recommendations were, of course, made that people such as Mfalapitsa are arrested and that they face the full might of the law. And so how it took this long, Sally, is something that we'll be able to find out on Friday. We know that he's willing to take the fall. That's what he's told his lawyer. He's willing to take the fall and tell the court and the New South Africa exactly what his part is. But he says that just like Janus Valus, really, Sally, he's saying that he's not willing to tell them who his commanders were. But we understand that out of the 4 commanders of the apartheid police, 3 of them have already passed away, and one of them can't be a witness, apparently, because he is very ill at the moment. So that's the information that we do have about Mfalapitsa. I did speak to him indeed, Sadi, to just try and find out from him exactly how he is able to sleep at night, really, knowing that he's been accused of such a crime. He's saying that in court papers, it seems he's saying that it was a necessity during that time to, carry out this order. So I did get the chance to ask him how he felt and how he sleeps at night. And all he said to me, Sadi, was that he promises that after the trial has concluded, he'll give me an interview. Here he is. Would that be okay?
I don't know whether I should give an interview or what.
You don't feel comfortable giving me an interview?
Not yet, no. Yeah.
The thing is, the accusations against you are heartbreaking, so I just wanted to find out if you have anything to say.
You know what? The trial has just begun, so I will desist from engaging in interviews at this point in time.
So maybe perhaps after the trial has been completed, will you consider it?
Yeah, I'll consider it, yes.
All right, sir.
Well, I can see that you tried to get some answers from him, but he wasn't too willing. 40 years on, one wonders if we're going to get some answers eventually. Thank you so much. Such an important case. Masego Rahlaga.